As someone interested in research, you may have previously heard the terms postdoc or postdoctoral research before. But what do these terms really mean, and what does this involve? See below for detailed answers to some basic questions about postdoctoral research, including tips for how you can go about becoming a postdoc. Who is a postdoc, aka a postdoctoral researcher or postdoctoral fellow? The term postdoc is short for postdoctoral, which literally means after earning your PhD. So, a postdoc generally refers to someone who has already completed their PhD and is continuing to conduct research. However, a postdoc is not yet a professor or principal investigator, PI, so they still have a research mentor whose lab they work in. What does a postdoc do? A postdoc is mostly focused on conducting research. That is, postdocs typically do not spend much time on teaching or other service requirements at their university. Because they already have a PhD, a postdoc is usually capable of working relatively independently and conducting studies/writing up research papers. However, a postdoc may also be focused on learning new research skills in this role. For example, if your primary focus in graduate school has been on working with young children, but you'd really like to be able to collect data with babies in the future, you could focus on infant data collection for your postdoc. New research skills could involve working with new populations, for example, infants versus children, learning new ways of collecting data, for example, brain scans versus questionnaires, or learning new statistical techniques. If there's something new that you want to learn, a postdoc is a great time to try to learn it. Where can a postdoc conduct their research? Postdocs are generally found at universities around the world where most research is conducted. However, some postdocs also may work in research hospitals or other settings. Postdocs can be found where they have a principal investigator mentor who they can work with and a lab setting where they can conduct their research. Many postdocs choose to work at a different institution from where they received their PhD in order to work with someone new and gain new skills/experiences. However, some postdocs may also be able to gain new skills and experiences as a postdoc at the same university where they received their PhD. When can you be a postdoc? Essentially any time after completing your PhD you can work as a postdoc. However, typically postdocs are those who have completed their PhD but have not yet received a job as a professor or other more permanent research position. Why be a postdoc? A postdoc is usually seen as a stepping stone position between completing your PhD and receiving a more permanent position in academia, for example, as a professor at a university. Working as a postdoc can be a valuable way to expand your research experience in order to become more competitive on the academic job market. As postdocs tend to spend most of their time on research, your postdoc years can help you to efficiently spend your time completing studies and writing up studies for publication so that your application for professor positions is even stronger than before. Often, postdocs also spend this time learning new skills that they believe would be helpful for setting up and running their own research lab in the future, while also hopefully making them more competitive on the job market. Another valuable aspect of being a postdoc is that it can give you an opportunity to work with new people and, potentially, work at a new location to give a broader sense of how different universities and labs work. This can be helpful for people who are on the fence about whether or not they want to stay in academia to decide if it is right for them. It can also be helpful for those who are certain that they do want to stay in academia to learn how other places operate so that they can determine what sort of university they would like to work at or how they would like to run their own lab. Overall, working as a postdoc can be a valuable experience for learning more about academia, gaining skills, and becoming competitive for professor positions. How does one become a postdoc? Although a potentially beneficial experience, it is often not clear how to become a postdoc in the first place. To be a postdoc necessitates that you have your PhD, and that you have a way of being paid for your new work as a postdoctoral researcher. This funding can come in a couple of different forms. In general, there are two main avenues to receiving postdoc funding, which are detailed below. Applying for funding. Reach out to potential postdoc advisors/mentors proactively and ask if you can apply for postdoc funding together. If you know that you are interested in working with someone specific, this can be a great option. In short, you can reach out to someone who you know does exciting work in your area that you would love to work with, your potential postdoc mentor, and explain your research experience as well as your goals for experiences you would like to gain in a postdoc. If the potential mentor believes it is a good fit, you can discuss the possibility of applying for funding together. Both the National Science Foundation, NSF, and National Institutes of Health, NIH, have funding options for postdocs. For psychological research, the NSF-SBE Postdoctoral Research Fellowship can be a good option to apply for, as well as the NIH F32 Postdoctoral Individual National Research Service Award. However, it is important to note that these applications are 1, very time-consuming, and 2, will require a clear plan for the research that you are hoping to complete in your postdoc, as well as how it will help you to achieve your career goals. For these reasons, if you are interested in applying for funding, you should start reaching out to a potential postdoc mentor early. I would personally recommend reaching out approximately 18 months prior to when you would like to start your postdoc. This should give you an adequate amount of time to discuss with your potential advisor the idea of working together, to develop a research plan, to complete the lengthy application, and to potentially resubmit the application if needed. It is worth noting that these applications are quite competitive, but just applying can be a valuable experience and also help you to get a sense for your potential mentor's working style. Additionally, if you happen to receive your own funding, you are being paid directly by your funding source to conduct your postdoc research, i.e., you are not paid through your mentor's funding, so this tends to free up postdocs to spend their time as they see fit. This might include wrapping up old projects from graduate school as well as working on new projects from their postdoc.